This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. We continue Mishna Beura Daf Hashavua. We're learning Hilchos Tefillin, Siman Lamed Beis Seif Ches. Tzarech ha-Klaf liyos me'ubad ba'afotzim oy besid. The Klaf has to be worked, has to be tanned with afotzim, some type of juice from a nut, or with lime. It has to be tanned lishmai. So the tanning process has to be lishma. So we were just in the tannery. There they tan with the excrement of birds. No, it has to be dafka with these kind of ingredients. It can't be with other types of acidic natural products. It has to be lishma. Can't just make hide and then use it for tuna. It has to be tan lishma. It is good, it's not required, but it is good to articulate while at the beginning of the tanning process that shuma abdoi l'shem tefillin or l'shem sefer Torah, that you're tanning it either for tuna or sefer Torah. Avalim ibdoi l'shem mezuzah pasal. It's not enough to be ma'abi l'shma. It has to be l'shma of the type of tashmishe kedusha that you're going to be using. Says in Mishna Beura, ba'afatzimai b'sid ulikuvahu, it's ma'akev to use these ingredients. Duloi mikri klaf b'loi zarak diftera. If it's not tanned with these ingredients, it's no longer called klaf, it's called diftera. V'yaniach ha'ar b'sid, put the hide in the lime, ad she'yipal aser me'el, until the hair falls off on its own, v'lo yedei greiro, without scraping it. By the way, if you look at the video from the Fez tannery, you'll see the guy scraping the hide to get off the hair. No, that doesn't work for tefillin. It has to be treated in a way where the hair falls off on its own. If you took it out from the lime before the hair falls off on its own, you can't write on it to have a diftera adayin. It's still diftera pasal. So basically, diftera seems to be unfinished hide. In order for it to be finished, it has to be treated with me'afatzim or sid. Okay. There are those who argue, this is the shita of the Meshivas Nafesh, v'kasav, the Sofer shoitzi ares lachar dalid yamim. If the Sofer took out the hides after 4 days, v'adayin lo yavar saras me'elim, and the hair has not fallen off on its own, nira de b'di'evet and kpei de b'di'evet, we're not makbid. Here he brings from the Minchas Yitzchak that in our times that our agents, our acidic agents are very powerful. It should only take 2 days. The Minchas Yitzchak says not to change from the age-old practice of at least 4 days. But the opinion of this Yesh Mishacholik is it really doesn't matter based on the hair. Once it's placed in the lime the requisite time, the Niskan Kohoigen, and it's been fixed properly, loy mikri diftera, it's not called diftera ayin sham. Bisvasav uv'di'eved dayoy b'machshava. B'di'eved, it's enough to think it in your mind. Okay, so the Mechaber says it's toiv lahoisi bisvasav, but b'di'eved, it's enough to think it. Now, two things. Firstly, the Bir Halacha, Divrei Hamaschal v'tzarech l'shmai, he says if you can't find hide that was done l'shma, it's pasal. But if you live in a place, in other words, if it's not l'shma, it's pasal. But if you live in a place that you can't get any other tefillin, only tefillin that was written on hide that's shloi l'shma, even though by Sefer Torah, your halach is you're allowed to make a bracha, but tzibor, but by tefillin you cannot make a bracha. Now he brings the Pri Megadim holds ibad l'shmaz midrabanan. The nafkamina would be, even though you still can't make a bracha, if you're masupik. But from Rabbi Kiva Eger, it's mashma that ibad l'shma would be da'iraisa. Betchilas ha'ibor. The Mechaber says that it should be in the beginning of the ibor. Well, what if it's at the end of the ibud? What if you have this kavanah lishma at the end of the ibud? So the same thing. It's like what we said by Hilchos Tzitzis, where the Taz says it works, and the Panameiros argues, and he says it's a safek whether we say soifai moira al tchilasai. Okay, now, why is it b'diavad enough to have in mind that you're doing it lishma? The Dirshu in note 39 asks regarding ksivas sefer Torah tuan mezuzos. The Mishna says later on, Sivkat and Sadi Hey, that you need to say you're doing it lishma. Why, when it comes to tanning the hides, is it enough to think you're doing it lishma? And when it comes to writing the tefillin and the sefer Torah mezuzos, it's you have to say it. By the way, the Rabbi Kiva Eger asks this question in the Gilyon on the Shulchan Aruch later on. So the Shulchan Aruch Harav answers that when it comes to tanning, we're soimech on those who hold that you don't need to be ma'abed lishma. In combination with the opinion of the Sefer HaTruma, who holds that maybe machshava alone helps. In other words, the reason we're more machmer by ksiva is because it's not borur that tanning has to be lishma. We paskin has to be lishma, but it's not borur, so therefore it's enough to have it in mind, even if you don't say it. But it's better to say it. Betchilas sivkat and chafei v'yoiser ein sarich. But more than the beginning of the tanning process, you don't need to loy lahoitzi b'svasav, not to say it with your lips. V'loy lachshav shemisad. Mis'abdim lishma, not to think you're being ma'abid lishma, ela b'tchilas b'avad, only in the beginning. Va'afilu nimshach ha'ibor kama yomim, even if the ibor lasts for many days, t'chol ha'oisa al das rishain ha'oisa. Anyone who does it with his original intent. So if you're mechavin in the beginning, that is sufficient. So it's interesting. Well, what if one guy begins the tanning process and he is mechavein, and another guy takes over? Then the Bir Halacha said earlier by Hilchos Tzitzis that if another guy takes over, we don't say kol ha'oisa al das rishon ha'oisa. But Chazon Ish says even if someone else continues the tanning process, it's kosher, because if the beginning was lishma, kol hemshech ha'ibud stama lishma. Okay, the Mishna continues. Va'afilu nimshach ha'ibud kama yamim d'chol ha'oisa al das rishon ha'oisa. Utchilas ha'ibud mikri. What's the beginning of the tanning process? It's called kishameisim ha'oros l'toich hased, when you put the hides in the lime. V'loi be'eish shemesimim l'toich hamayim kodim, but not when you first soak it in the water before you put in the lime. Mibnei dezel loy mikri adayin ibud. That's not considered ibud. The Chazon Ish explains that what the Mishabura means is not only do you not have to put it in the water lishma, but even if you put it in the water lishma, it will not help to utilize the concept of kol ha'oisa al das rishon ha'oisa, because you did not begin it. But the Chazon Ish himself argues on the Mishnah Berurah, and he says what the Mishnah Berurah means is you don't have to put in the water lishma, but if you did put in lishma, then you don't have to have further kavana. Okay, Rabbi, so we'll hold it over here. Wishing everyone a wonderful day. Bracha v'atzlacha. Kol tov.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.